we are not even on at the normal time that I will be on, but something in my spirit was telling me to go live tonight and let's talk about it. And so as you guys are getting notifications that I'm live, I just want to welcome you all into this space. Just come on in. As you're coming in, just stop by and say hello. Again, it's not the normal time or day that I would normally go live, but something has been pulling at my heart, and I had to talk about it. I have to talk about it because if I'm going to be on this thing here called social media, it has to serve a purpose, right? Because social media is a tool, it's a resource. And I don't do anything without intention. Hey, Delroy, thank you for joining. Hello, hello. Here we are. We are on tonight because, again, I never come live unless I have something to say. And many of you know, or are becoming familiar with me, know kind of parts of my story, probably the biggest part, which happens to be after I lost my daughter to gun violence. So with that said, I have been dealing with, I say all the time, I deal with a lot of broken hearts, right? Hey, Keisha, thank you for joining. And with that said, I deal with a lot of broken hearts, and I hear a lot of stories, and I hear people send me things. They reach out to me, they call me, and I'm just always amazed at how God trusts me with people's hearts and how they feel comfortable enough to share with me some of their most painful parts. And so, with that said, I want to talk about something that it should be absolutely talked about, right? Because I find more times than I would like to say that when parents are faced with losing a child, probably the most devastating time of their life, I can attest to that for myself through my own personal experience. Probably the biggest difficulty in my life is surviving my child. I had spoke with a woman who, and I don't know if she's going to be on tonight. I don't know at all. Hey, Juan, thank you for joining. But the conversation that we had is what prompted this live tonight, because I could not get this out of my head, y'all. I couldn't shake it. And everything it is that I do is with the intention of educating folks to be better with each other, right? It's to educating folks on how to better support a friend or a family member who has suffered through tragedy. So with that said, this woman who I know through social media, she has been very supportive throughout the time that I've lost Aaliyah. She's reached out several times. She left me a few messages. She's been very active in commenting on a lot of my content, just offering her support after I lost Aaliyah. And I didn't pay attention. Why I didn't pay attention? Because I'm busy just like everybody else, right? I'm not really focusing too much on the social media posts, right? And if you guys haven't noticed, you're not really seeing all of your friends or your followers posts. You see most of the things that you have interest in. So the social media dynamic has changed a whole lot within the last couple of years. I feel like that wasn't even important. This woman who has been very active in the last 2 years, all of a sudden I noticed that I hadn't seen a post from her, heard from her at all. Until one day last week, she sends me a message via Instagram, right? She sent me a DM, and the message says, I can't believe that I'm even writing this, but I lost my son in September, and you're the first person I thought of. And immediately I just said, oh my God, like I couldn't believe what I was reading, because like I know how a sudden loss can impact a person. And I'm quite sure this woman had no idea that this would be a part of her life. And it just amazed me how she had been following me all of this time. And the first person she could think of right after she lost her son, just short of a little over 2 months ago, was to reach out to me. And sorry about that, guys. I always forget to put my do not disturb on. All right, sorry about that. Um, so she sends me a message to say, I can't believe that I'm writing this, but I lost my son in September. And she wanted to know what my organization offers for grieving mothers, right? Um, and so after my initial shock, of course, I got to get her on the phone. I need to talk to her. And we talked for a long time. And it just, everything that she is experiencing is everything that I've lived. Her circumstances absolutely are unique and personal and different, right? I always say this, even if we share the same injury, meaning we've lost our child, the circumstances are different. Your story is different. Your dynamics are different. Why? Because we all have unique experiences. So as she's sharing with me the circumstances surrounding her child's death, he happened to have overdosed. Fentanyl is out there, and it's in everything. I always say this, guys. Especially when it comes to my kids, you can't play around with these drugs out here because they're putting fentanyl in everything. So she lost her child to a drug overdose. Young man, beautiful child. Um, Bear with me, y'all, because this is the reason why I'm here tonight. So as this woman shares these details with me, tears are flowing through her. But the very place that she felt the most connected was her church family, her church home. And the place that she's supposed to be supported the most, the place that she goes for refuge, the place that she goes for spiritual guidance and a sense of belonging. Certain members told this grieving mom after just losing her son that your son he wasn't in good favor with God, meaning there are no chances of him going to heaven. Now you could imagine how devastating this is for a mother who just lost her kid and doesn't know where he went. And this is no attack on the church, because I believe everyone is an individual, right? We all have our stuff. But to have several members of this church tell her because her son was not living a right lifestyle, that he pretty much is not with the Lord, is what they were saying. And she was just distraught. She was not only distraught for losing her son, but to have the thought of her child not being with the Lord, being with God and glory, it was something else. And I couldn't believe that this, I actually could believe, because I've heard it a few times in different areas, which is why I'm bringing this up now, because it's happened too often. And we as a body, right? And it's so crazy because as much as I talk about God, I have to say this because a lot of people just assume that because of my upbringing, that I'm Christian. And I will tell you this right now, right here now, I don't practice any religion whatsoever. I don't. I honor God. I honor the kingdom of God. I don't believe that there should be certain rituals and different things in order to fit into a certain group, if that makes sense, because that's not what God intended. That's not what God intended. But that's neither here nor there. The next statement was from another church member in this particular church, who, this woman just lost her son 2 months ago. She came to her and said, "Why are you still crying? Why are you still crying? Your son died in September. You shouldn't be crying anymore about that. You got to move on." This is a member, and again, I always say this is no attack on the church at all, but to bring to the light that there's a level of sensitivity, and unless you've experienced a sudden loss, especially a loss as a child, I don't think it's in your place to tell a mother who's lost a child that there's a time limit on when she should stop crying over her deceased baby. Um, and at that point, it was at that point, and I won't hold back, that I said, it sounds like you need a new church. It sounds like you need to remove yourself from this toxic environment that is literally crushing your soul in your most vulnerable state. And so I share all that to say, um, it is a lot. I get it. I get it. I get there's certain practices, there's certain things that were taught to us. And I guarantee you this, that is not what God's intention was, is for us to be further divided, further separated. And I want to say, as bluntly as I said to this woman, how the hell do you know? How do you know? How do you know? For you to come out of your mouth and tell this mother that her child is not with the Lord, or for you to tell this mother that you shouldn't be crying over your dead son anymore. 2 months is too long. I think that is so vile. I have to say this. And it in another form, it opens up the door for you don't know what you're inviting into your life when you do and say things like that. You are opening up doors that you don't want to be a part of. So with that said, I wanted to get that out because there's so much more that we can do with each other as it concerns to matters of the heart, as it concerns to sensitivity. I know for most mothers, I can only speak for mothers. I love to say parents, but I gotta be true to who I am. I identify with a mother, right? We never intended or expected to outlive our children. And I think it further proves the point that I say all the time. It's going to take a village of survivors to really understand the thoughts and the language surrounding surviving your child. So with that said, that's all I got for tonight, guys. I always say I invite you all on for a live. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to include? So I'm going back to the comments. Delroy, yes. That was hard. And I want to talk to you offline a little more about that, because it sat with me for a few days. And so with that said, guys, I don't have anything else. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.